So very good evening, and thank you so much for joining this webinar on 6.0 SAFE, the changes from 5.1 to 6.0. In the next 1 hour, we will talk about the changes in the framework from 5.1 to 6.0. I will also reserve probably the last 20 or 30 minutes for the question answers. Maybe you can put your questions in the chat window. I will answer your questions. So before proceed forward, a quick introduction from myself. My name is Satyanarayana HR. I'm an SPCT, SAFE practitioner from last 10 years, Lean Agile space roughly about 15 years. Helping various large enterprises in their scaled Agile transformation journey. Some of them are Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. Involved as an enterprise coach to help them transform end-to-end as an enterprise. I also do quite a few trainings, especially the advanced training like implementing SAFE, lean portfolio management, RT and stuff like that in a public setup. And in fact, today onwards, today till Sunday, we are actually hosted the implementing SAFE 4-day class on 6.0 version. Day 1 is over, and right after that, I got into this webinar. So with that, let me get into the topic. So what's new in SAFE 6.0? Thriving in the digital age with business agility. As you know, SAFE as a framework came into picture in 2011 as 1.0. Just like any of your product, your enterprise, the products which you are building, we keep on enhancing the product with the new features, new capabilities. Similarly, SAFE as a framework is also evolving to cater to the enterprise and practitioner needs. It started with 1.0, then all the way to 6.0 release, 15th of March, which is last Wednesday, right? This is about 7 days old framework, the 6.0. But if you look at it, at least every 2 to 3 years, there is one major release which is taking place for SAFE. In between, there are some intermediate releases as well. You see after 4.0, you see 4.5, then 4.6, then 5.0 came in, 5.1, which is a small minor release. Then it's a major release, which is 6.0, right? So why these changes are taking place? For the fact to provide more advanced guidance to the enterprise in terms of SAFE transformation, providing more, guidance to the practitioners, that how SAFE has to be practiced, implemented in real time. So as SAI, they keep on learning and, they're experimenting, they acquire that knowledge and they communicate back the knowledge via the framework to the enterprises and practitioners. Now, as you know, SAFE, is an integral part of many Fortune 100 and 500 companies, right from NASA to banking domain, aeronautical domain, industrial automation, healthcare, you name the discipline, name the domain, there are enterprises who are practicing SAFE, from, a very long time, and some of them are starting their journey and so on. So 6.0 comes with a lot more guidance in terms of enabling the flow, strengthening the foundation for business agility. It also provides a lot more guidance for, lot more guidance around big data, AI, how that can be integrated. And most importantly, each of the role in the SAFE framework, there is an advanced guidance or article around that, which areas of focus. For example, Scrum Master or a team coach, where is the focus areas for this role? Earlier there was responsibilities, now clearly called out, focus areas. This is not just for the Scrum Master, for all the roles, which we'll cover as we progress in this webinar. So basically 6 themes of SAFE 6.0. From 5.1 framework to 6.0, if you look at it, these are the 6 major changes or the themes on which the changes are introduced in 6.0. The first change or the theme is strengthening the foundation for business agility. We'll talk about that. The second one is empowering teams and clarifying responsibilities. The teams, the Agile release train, and the roles in teams and train. lot more, what you call clarity on the responsibilities, what they need to perform. The third one is accelerating value flow. If you're familiar with the framework, Scaled Agile framework has 10 safe principles. The sixth principle is renamed as Accelerate Value Flow. And this also has 8, accelerators, how to enable value flow from idea to market. That's the third change in the framework. The fourth change is enhancing business agility with SAFe across the business. Now, the SAFe implementation goes beyond, your development and IT. It goes to, hardware, it goes to enabling functions, it goes to business functions. So there are guidance around that. That's the fourth theme. And the fifth theme is building the future with AI, big data, and cloud. These are the essential technologies for any enterprise to thrive in the digital age. So how it can be integrated, to the enterprise, there are, guidance and articles around that. That is the fifth change. And the sixth change is, measure and grow, delivering better outcomes with measure and grow and OKRs. There are a lot of, guidance around, especially what to be measured in terms of competencies, in terms of outcomes, in terms of execution, which is flow. Also, the OKRs are introduced at, 3 stages, which we are going to talk through as we progress. Predominantly, the changes around these 6 themes in 6.0. Say hello to, 6.0 framework. If you take a look, if you're familiar with 5.1, and if you take a look on 6.0 framework, the look and feel, the way, the configuration look like, everything is, changed, right? So the foundation is changed, where the continuous, learning culture is now integral part of the foundation. Now, at different levels, you look at it, the value flow, portfolio flow, solution train flow, art flow, and team flow that has been enabled. And next to each of the backlog, there used to be something called Kanban. Now, the Kanban is integral part of the backlog. Now, in the spanning palette, on the right side, what you look at, right from vision all the way to measure and grow, that we call it as spanning palette. There you see AI, artificial intelligence. Even in the portfolio, you see big data. Then, in the essential level, you see cloud. So, and even business agility, you look like more like a value stream. So we have, business agility value stream as well. So predominantly, these are the changes, including the look and feel. Let's get into each of the theme. What has changed in each of the 6 theme, what we talked about. Number 1, strengthening the foundation for business agility. In the framework, you can see, there are 2 areas in which, the red color highlighting is done. One is the foundation of the framework. Now, here, the lean agile leadership, which was in the center, which is moved to the left, and the continuous, learning culture is moved to the right. Both of them holding the foundation of the framework. It means irrespective of the configuration, what you use essential, large solution, and portfolio, lean agile leadership and continuous learning culture becomes the foundation. In addition to that, the lean agile mindset, what you are going to see here, the house of lean, the safe house of lean, if you are familiar with, which was there in 5.0 and 5.1. Now that has been replaced with the 5 lean principles. And the 10 safe principles remain same, excluding the principle number 6, which is visualize, limit WIP, reduce biases and manage QLAN principle. Now it is renamed as, enabling the flow with 8 accelerators. On the top, you are looking at business agility value stream. So basically the changes around the first theme is on foundation and business agility. The moment I talk about business agility, so right from sensing the opportunity in the marketplace, all the way, business values are delivered and leveraged. The sequence of steps, what we are going to do, which determine how agile my business is. Typically, if you look at it in the larger enterprises, right from when they sense an opportunity, by the time, it is delivered, roughly it may take about 1.5 years to 2 years. Now, we need to, strengthen the business agility value stream by strengthening the, by reducing the time to market anywhere from 2 to 6 months, purely depending on the context. Some cases it may be 1.5 months, 2 months. If you are building a really big, cyber physical system, probably validating a hypothesis, it may take about 6 months. So sensing the opportunity, then, funding MEP, this is where your lean portfolio management will come into picture. Assessing what opportunities are there, what is MEP, then funding that MEP, then followed by organize around value. This is where the construction of the train and the team, organize around value, come into picture. Then connect to the customer, engage the customer continuously, part of our product development for the feedback. Then deliver the MEP to validate our hypothesis. Followed by, once the MEP is delivered to the market, most importantly, obtaining the feedback and making a decision of pivot and perceiver. Pivot is changing the direction without compromising the vision. And perceiver is the feedback is great, continue to invest further on the same journey. Then delivering value continuously and, learn and adopt based on the delivery, what we are making, quickly, take the feedback and, take that feedback into the business agility value stream. So all of this seamlessly need to take place to, to reduce the time to market. So there are a lot of guidance around this. Now, safe foundation, as I talked about it, lean agile leadership is more to the left. Now, continuous learning culture competency, this is one of the important competency, was added to the foundation of the framework, making it part of all the configuration of the safe, irrespective of what configuration you use. This is integral part of the foundation and the configuration. Now, the right side, the agile values, which you are aware. The left side, we used to have a house of lean, safe house of lean. Now that is replaced with the 5 principles of lean, precisely specify value by product. That means identify, the value stream for each product, identify the value stream, then enable the flow right from idea to market, concept to cash without any interruption. Then let the customer pull the value from the producer. Then, look for pursuing the perfection of the outcome. These are the 5 principles, and there are, guidance around that, how do we implement it. This safe core values remain same. Of course, there are some additional, guidance around that, but otherwise the updated safe core values in terms of alignment, transparency, relentless improvement, and respect for people remain same as 4 competencies. But the guidance for each of these competencies has been updated, and you can, visit the article of core values, which is there in the foundation of the framework. Now, coming to the safe principle, as I indicated before, the 6th principle is renamed as make value flow without interruption. It is not just renaming the principle, but providing a lot more guidance and also providing 8 accelerators to enable flow in the value stream. The implementation roadmap is also changed. If anybody is looking at this, roadmap first time, the framework, what you saw, to implement that framework in the real time, this is a proven implementation roadmap. That means each of the chevron, what you are looking at, it is the way to implement the scaled agile framework. In this implementation roadmap as well, there are about 7 changes. Now, even in the implementation roadmap, you can look at those number 1 to up to 7. So before the tipping point, the go safe, there was something called waterfall and ad hoc that has been changed. Now, we also introduced safe executive workshop toolkit. The toolkit was there even 5.1 that is explicitly called out in the implementation roadmap now. Then leading the digital age, a program that equips leader with the knowledge and skills. So this is the 3rd changes what we are bringing in, especially for the leaders who are driving the transformation. And organize around value was renamed from identify art and value stream. If you look at it, the 4th item here, organize around value, That was basically, identify value stream and agile release train, that has been renamed to organize around value. And the fifth change, what you are looking at, is safe value stream and art identification workshop toolkit is introduced in the implementation roadmap. Then enhance the portfolio was renamed. Enhance the portfolio was renamed. It was previously called extending to the portfolio. The sixth item, what you are looking at, enhance the portfolio. Earlier it was called as, extending to portfolio. And of course, the seventh one is accelerate. There are a lot more guidance on accelerating the journey of the transformation. There are a lot more, guidance provided around that. These are the changes in the implementation roadmap. Now, earlier, the SPCs, which we used to call it as Safe Program Consultant, now that has been renamed into Safe Practice Consultant. The SPCs remain same, but instead of program, now it is renamed as Practice Consultant. Slowly, we are getting away from the word program in the Scaled Agile framework. So earlier you used to see a lot of terminologies called program. Even in 5.1, you had something called program backlog. Now that has been replaced with art backlog. So the program word is, fading away. So now the SPCs are called Safe Practice Consultant, not Program Consultant. This is about the first theme. Coming to the second theme, which is empowering teams and clarifying responsibilities. For all the roles, what you are looking at here in the left side, right, from the agile release train, agile teams, business owner, all the way to the system team, the additional guidance is provided for each of the role. That means for each of these role, the focus areas has been identified, and in each focus area, what are the roles and responsibilities is also called out explicitly. So it means this helps the people who are playing that role, and also it helps the enterprises, defining the roles and responsibilities for each of these roles, because focus areas are identified, and each area, what kind of roles and responsibilities has to be put in place by these roles are also being clearly called out. So this is, personally, I love this, the guidance which has come in, because, every practitioner, every team, and every enterprise used to interpret a little differently each of these roles, even though there were roles and responsibilities. But now clearly the focus areas for identified for each of these roles. One example of agile release train, you can look at it. For example, as an art, the focusing as an agile release train is to connecting with the customer. The focusing of an agile release train is to planning the work. The focus of agile release train is to delivering the value. And the focus of agile release train is also getting the continuous feedback and also relentlessly improve. This is from an agile release train point of view, what agile release train should do are the associated focus areas. Similarly, if you want to look at an example of, the Scrum Master. Now the Scrum Master, we are also calling it as a team coach. Scrum Master / team coach. The reason here is not necessarily that all the agile team practice Scrum. Depending on the need and the context, they may pick and choose what is the right method for them. Some team even may use Kanban, depending on the work what they do. Hence, we are calling as Scrum Master team coach. And if you look at it, the focus areas for Scrum Master and team coach, facilitating peer planning for the team, they are responsible. Then supporting the iteration execution. Then enabling the flow in the team and contributing the enabling the flow in the train and the value stream, focusing on building high-performing teams and improving the overall agile release train performance. These are the focus areas of the Scrum Master and team coach. If you look at it, certain things are focusing on the agile team and certain things are focusing on the agile release train. So similarly, you will get an opportunity to see the focus areas for each of the role in the big picture, in the Scaled Agile framework. Especially for the role which are content focused, especially at the train level, we have product management, they build the art backlog. Similarly, the solution management, they build the backlog at the solution train level. Similarly, we have system architect who is an architect of the train, and the solution architect who is an architect of the train, solution train, right? So a lot more guidance is provided here, especially the primary collaborating roles for each of this. For example, product management, to fulfill the responsibilities of the product management, which are those primary roles where this role has to collaborate with, right? If you look at it, product management is responsible for customer centricity, design thinking, strategy, vision, roadmap, and creating the art backlog. To do this, primary interaction points, primary collaboration points is called out, not just for product management. This is also true for solution management, system architect, and solution architect. I see some hand raised and questions. What I will do is I will take you through all the changes, then probably I will answer all the questions. I'm going to reserve some 20 minutes to answer your questions. I hope that's okay. Now, coming to the third change, or the theme of change, especially in the framework, the areas which are highlighted in red color are the changes pertaining to accelerating value flow, right? We brought in the portfolio flow explicitly, enabling the flow in the portfolio, similarly enabling the flow in the solution train, agile release train, and the team as well. And also the value stream management is promoted with a lot more guidance. And of course, the SAFE principle number 6 is redefined as accelerating value flow. So how are we going to achieve this, value flow? This is where the 8, accelerators come into picture to enable the value flow across your value stream, right? So you can look at it, there are 8 accelerators. What are those 8 accelerators? Number 1, visualize and limit WIP. That means you are going to, visualize and controlling the work in progress limit, not just at the team level, as I talked about it, portfolio, large solution, and your, agile release train, plus at the team level. All these 8 accelerators sounds good in each of these, level. So the first one is visualize and limit WIP, which enables the flow. Address bottlenecks, especially when you visualize your value stream and identify where the bottlenecks are, removing those bottlenecks or optimizing those, bottleneck areas to enable the flow. This is the second focus area. The third one is minimize handoffs and dependencies. Couple of ways in which we can do: organizing the team, organizing the train around value, then especially the way we are, defining the features, the way we are, planning ourselves. The focus should be minimizing the dependencies and handoff. The fourth accelerator is get faster feedback. So the quick feedbacks, the plan, do, check in, adjust, which has to be the integral part of your teams and trains, and subsequently even at the large solution and portfolio level to enable the flow. The fifth one is work on smaller batch sizes, reduce the batch size. The batch size, here probably if you want to talk from a team point of view, probably the stories we call it as a batch. At the train level, probably features we call it as a batch. At any given point in time, the number of stories you're executing in an iteration, or at any given point in time, number of features what you're executing at the train level. So we need to reduce the batch size, execute in smaller batch sizes, because the smaller batch sizes go through the system much faster with less variability. And the sixth one is reduce queue length. So managing the queue length is very, very important. Then seventh one is optimize the time in the zone. So this is very, very important. The flow, not just in the, the way of execution, but the flow is also in our mind. So this is typically understanding the time spent in the zone. That means the most creative time in a day. For example, you are logging in at 9 o'clock in the morning and you log out at 6 o'clock. Between the 8 to 9 hours of work, there are some portion of this 8 hours or 9 hours, the teams are a lot more productive, a lot more efficient, a lot more creative. So typically focusing on optimizing this time zone to be so that the teams and individuals, they're going to be a lot more efficient, a lot more creative, and solving some critical problems. Then the last one is, legacy policies and practices. Focus on addressing the legacy policies and practices. These are the 8 accelerators to enable the flow, across the, framework, right from portfolio all the way to the team. Accelerators apply differently to each safe level, right? This 8, accelerator, whatever we saw, the application of that may vary from one level to another level. For example, team flow, art flow, large solution flow, or even portfolio flow. The way we are going to enable the flow, probably the application may be different, but otherwise the 8 accelerators remain same, across the, levels. Now, the safe team Kanban, right? A method that helps Agile team to facilitate, visualize, flow, establish, implement, and deliver value. So renamed Kanban icon to safe team Kanban. Especially the changes, even in the, the article in big picture, what you can do, what you can see is, the Kanban icon is changed to safe Kanban. And team can use Safe Scrum or CF Team Kanban, depending on the nature of the work, what they do. Or sometimes it could be a hybrid, which is combination of both, right? Safe Scrum XP is renamed as Safe Scrum, and XP practices, extreme programming practices, are integrated part of built-in quality practices. Then applying Kanban in safe, extended guidance, there are a lot more guidance is provided that how Kanban can be Kanban can be implemented in a safe context. So if you go to the big picture, if you look at the articles, a lot more guidance are there. What is Kanban board is all about, how to create one, identifying the steps in the development value stream, then identifying the clauses for Kanban, be it be standard, be it be fixed date or expiry date, those kind of things. Then understanding how the enterprise, Kanban works. Now across, right from portfolio backlog all the way to the team backlog, how does Kanban works? Because each one connected to each other, right? Like, portfolio Kanban has an epic. Then the child of that, you have capability, which is at the solution, backlog, followed by you have an art backlog, which has feature. Then the team backlog has stories, right? So the guidance around, how enterprise Kanban works. So the extended guidance available, feel free to take a look on this. Then there are additional guidances provided in 6.0 on built-in quality to enable flow, support the flow. If you look at it in the foundation, there are different domains, right from business functions, software application, IT system, hardware, and cyber physical systems, right? But irrespective of these domains, the basic agile quality practices remain same irrespective of the domain you belongs to. You may belong to a business team, or you may belongs to, agile software development team or a hardware development team. Some of these foundational basic quality practices remain same. And what are those? If you look at it in the left side, you see shift left, shift learning left. That means do quicker, experiment and learn from it. That means the learning cycles, we need to reduce it. Then pairing and peer review. The pair work we strongly recommend irrespective of the domain you belongs to, not necessarily software development team or a hardware development team. And peer review we encourage. Then collective ownership, T-shaped skills, which is also important, not just for the people who are building the solution, but it is also required for the business teams or business functions. Then artifact standards and definition of done, like how we have a definition of done for a story or a feature. Similarly, for the work, what the other domain people does, the definition of done is important for them as well. And wherever possible, bring in the automation. Automation is very, very important. But should you really need to do, automation or not? How much investment? Go to the principle number one, take an economic view. Based on that, make it, judgment. Should you really need to invest on the automation? But automation is very, very important, for speed and also to enable flow. So these 5 things, which we call it as an essential basic agile quality practices, irrespective of the domain you belongs to. On top of that, you may have a specific practices, specific built-in quality practices. For example, if you are, software development agile team, then probably you will have, built-in quality practices like unit testing. You might have a test-driven development. You have a continuous integration. There are many other aspects will come into picture. But similarly, if you have a hardware engineering team, probably will have a specific practices which will enable built-in quality in hardware teams. But irrespective of that, these are the foundational things what we need to put into practice. This is an additional guidance provided in the 6.0. Now, value stream management get a promotion. So VSM precisely an extended guidance article. So how to manage the value stream? There is an article which talks about how to optimize the value stream. It has been added to the portfolio level to emphasize it is a safe portfolio responsibility. Optimizing the value stream is the responsibility of the leadership. It is not just the responsibility of the team and the train, but it is also a responsibility of the leadership. Hence, the value stream management is positioned at the portfolio level. Then in 5.1, we had something called PMO that has been renamed as VMO. What is VMO? Value Management Office. And the responsibilities of the Value Management Office is more in terms of helping defining the scope of the portfolios, supporting improvement to value delivery flow, then facilitating the portfolio sync. You may have various things which has to be facilitated at the portfolio level. Something could be bi-weekly, something could be monthly, something could be quarterly. Facilitation of those. Then collaborating with Lean Agile Center of Excellence to develop, harvest, and apply successful art execution. Then facilitating lean budgeting and governance. This is another activity which typically take place at the lean portfolio. So facilitation of this budgeting, lean budgeting activities. Then fostering decentralized PA planning, then fostering more agile contracts. All of this are the responsibilities of VMO. The VMO stands for Value Management Office. There's another change what we can see in 6.0. Now, the fourth change, what we are looking at in the framework is enhancing business agility with SAFe across the business, right? Now, extend SAFe business and technology patterns. So extend SAFe business and technology patterns in terms of business enabled arts. You have agile business trains which builds and operates full business solutions. You have an agile executive team. You have agile business function, all of that. So what it means to say is we are extending the SAFe, the lean agile mindset, the SAFe principles beyond the product development and IT, right? SAFe moves beyond IT and development. A lean agile transformation will touch every part of the enterprise, irrespective of the functions they belong to. It is not just focusing on the solution builder. Sooner or later, you also need to touch upon the business functions, the enabling functions, be it your sales and marketing, product marketing, your HR, your purchasing, right? So there are guidance around that. Even in 5.1, there were guidance, but now we have a lot more guidance around that. The fifth change typically is around building the future with AI, big data, and cloud. You can see the big data at the portfolio level and AI in the spanning palette, which is in the right side, and the cloud, which is part of the essential SAFe layer, right? So it is important that AI can revolutionize solution developed by SAFe organization, has the potential to dramatically influence the operational and business models, the enterprise as well. So the AI is transforming the world, transforming the enterprises in which they are operating, in which they're sensing the market, in which they're understanding the customer needs, in which they're planning and forecasting, in which they're executing the work. So the power of AI can be leveraged by the enterprises. Then the big data is a portfolio concern. It is positioned in the portfolio for the fact that it requires vision, investment, and centralization. That means collecting the data, analyzing the data, then setting up the trend for the portfolios, right? The direction in which they need to go. All that is very, very important aspect for any enterprise to survive. So the big data is positioned part of the portfolio. Then of course, cloud increases product development speed and agility. Right now, the days in which we are operating with a standalone application or going and deploying it manually, more or less we are getting rid of those. Now mostly we are talking about the cloud and deploying to the cloud and stuff like that. So the leveraging these the technologies, the trend, the latest technologies in terms of AI, big data and cloud, which is very, very important and critical for an enterprise success. And SAFE also provide guidance around how to leverage these technologies from an enterprise point of view. And the last thing, the changes around is delivering better outcome with measure and grow and OKRs. So the two changes which are highlighted on the spanning palette, one is the OKRs, objective and key results. The other one is measure and grow. So when we talk about metrics is now measure and grow, this information was there. Whatever you are seeing on the slide, this was there even in 5.1. But additional guidances are provided here on a business agility value stream, right from sensing an opportunity all the way realizing the value, right? There are three important focus areas for measurement. One is we want to measure the competencies. So in order to understand how agile my business is, understanding the maturity of these competencies is important. So SAFE is built on SAFE core competencies, right? It has team and technical agility, agile product delivery, enterprise solution delivery, lean portfolio management, lean agile leadership, continuous learning culture, and organizational agility. The entire framework is built based on these 7 core competencies. So one of the important measurement for an enterprise is around each of these competencies, how are we progressing, right, towards business agility? Very, very important. When we assess, each of these competencies, there is an assessment framework. There is a guidance how to do assessment in the Scaled Agile framework. When we do the assessment for each of these competency, and underneath there are, each of these competencies has 3 dimensions. It's an opportunity for an enterprise to understand how agile they are or how away they are from the business agility, and what is that they need to do within an enterprise to improve, to achieve business agility. This is number 1. Number 2 is flow. How good the flow is within the, the value stream, right from idea to market, sensing an opportunity all the way to deliver the value. So how good the flow is. There are about 6 flow measurement. The focus is on that. And of course, we also need to measure the outcomes depending on the type of your, the value stream you operate with. Of course, we need to look at the outcomes. This could be R metrics. This could be, time to market. This could be NPS and so on, right? The focus should be on competency measurement to achieve the business agility, how good the flow is in the value stream, and, also measuring the outcomes, what a value stream is producing. In addition to that, OKR is integrated part of the framework, and there are 3 case studies or cases in which the OKRs are integrated in the SAFE. Number 1, OKRs part of strategic theme. What is strategic theme? Strategic theme is an input which comes, or an output which comes out of corporate strategy. When the corporate come up with the strategy, the outcome of corporate strategy is 2 things. One is the budget, what they're allocating to the portfolio. The other one is the strategic themes. Now the strategic themes, can have the, OKR format where each of the strategic theme is an objective. And, for each of those objectives, there could be 3 or 4 or 5, KRs, key results. Similarly, EPIC. EPIC is a large work which is part of portfolio backlog, especially when we define, the outcome hypothesis for the EPIC. The OKR could be a format, the objective and the key result. What is that we want to accomplish out of this, EPIC implementation, and how are we going to measure the success? So it is, OKR can be leveraged part of EPIC implementation, definition and implementation, and also transforming the organization itself. The OKR can be, defined for the transformation itself. For example, one of the transformation goal is to reduce time to market. This is an objective. That what is that KRs which we are going to use to measure it? Similarly, you may have additional objectives part of the transformation. So OKR can be an integral part of those as well. So these are the three use cases. In addition to that, if you find more relevant to bring in some other areas, which you can do that as well. But personally, I love this integration of OKRs in the strategic themes, epic definition, and OKR in the transformation itself, because it gives a lot more focus on what is that we want to accomplish, by what time we want to accomplish it, and of course the measurement criteria and what action we are going to take to accomplish those objectives. So basically these are the 6 changes, primary changes what we have done in the 6.0, what Scaled Agile has done in 6.0. In addition to that, there are quite a few other changes as well, notable changes as well in the framework. One is, safe backlog, right? Then spanning palette, then enterprise solution delivery, and terminology changes. Let's take a look. The safe backlogs are managed with Kanban. Earlier, if you look at it, in the 5.1, you used to see something called Kanban just before each of the backlog. That means a Kanban, after that you used to see portfolio backlog. Kanban, after that you need to see, solution backlog. And same thing for art backlog and team backlog. Now that is, integrated part of the backlog itself. Remove the vertical Kanban label from the framework, and label from all the backlogs to reduce the visual clutter. Then the backlog state was replaced by ready to reduce confusion between the process state and the actual backlog, especially the one what you are going to look at it in the below diagram. For Scrum, a separate Kanban system manages the iteration backlog and the user's iteration backlog state for the work that is ready. That means there are some label changes. Labels are removed to reduce the clutter. And when we talk about portfolio backlog, that means the Kanban is implied part of that. Then spanning palette, in the spanning palette, what is spanning palette? The one what you see on the right side, it is configurable depending on, irrespective of the configuration what you use. You may use essential safe configuration, large solution safe configuration, or portfolio configuration. The one what you look at on the right side, you may configure it depending on your need and context. For example, you have vision, what you see on top of the spanning palette. Vision is required for portfolio, vision is required for large solution, vision is required for your agile release train. Similarly, when we talk about system team, it is required for your train level, it is required for your large solution level, right? So you might have to pick and configure depending on the need and the context. In the spanning palette, we have added OKRs, added AI. Especially, there is a lot more guidance is provided to roadmap and measure and grow areas as well. In the enterprise solution delivery, the updated enterprise solution delivery best practices, there are a lot more guidance on the enterprise solution delivery configuration now. A new pre-plan, describes the solution train activity necessary to prepare arts for PA planning. Now you are seeing pre-plan that typically take place before the agile release train programming, the PA planning. New coordinate and deliver describes. There is another, aspect which is added there, coordinate and deliver. A coordinate and deliver describes the practice necessary to deliver large solution across multiple agile release trains. So this is, the changes what is being done in the large solution level. Then some program terminologies has been phased out. The program terminology is phased out. For example, Agile Program Management Office is replaced as Value Management Office. Program Backlog is renamed as Art Backlog. Program Board is renamed as Art Planning Board. Program Epic become Art Epic. Program Execution become Art Execution. And most importantly, Program Increment become Planning Interval. Most of the practitioners are familiar with the word program increment. now that has been, replaced with, planning interval. That means you are going to plan that interval of the cadence of, whatever you go with, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or 12 weeks. So you're going to repeat that, the programming, planning interval planning. Then program Kanban is renamed as art Kanban. Program PA objectives are renamed as art PA objectives. And program predictability measure is changed as art predictability measure. Program risk now become art risk, art PA risk. And safe program consultant becomes safe practice consultant. It means program is often associated with traditional project and program management. Typically, the moment we call about a program, most of the practitioners who are practicing, project management background or program management background, they start connecting the program very differently. In order to minimize those confusion, the program word is phased out. Now everything is replaced with, art. Now, standardized solution terminologies, solution architect and engineering is now replaced as solution architect. Solution backlog becomes solution train backlog. All this, what we are talking about, is in the large solution level. Solution board becomes solution train planning board. Solution epic becomes solution train epic. Solution Kanban becomes solution train Kanban. Similarly, how you have art PA objectives, similarly, the solution PA objectives become solution train PA objectives. These are all some of the terminology changes in the large solution level. Other terminology changes: daily stand-up become team sync. Typically, the daily scrum meeting or daily stand-up meeting, what you do, that name is changed to team sync. Then lean system and solution engineering is renamed as lean system engineering. Scrum of Scrum, what we used to do, where the scrum masters and RT come together, have a sync at the train level. Now we call that as a coach sync. And Scrum XP, we call it as a safe Scrum going forward. These are all some of the terminology changes as well. So that, typically take us to the, talking about the changes, predominant changes, what has been done in the framework. In the interest of time, I try to provide all the information, the kind of changes, what is being done, the 6 themes, the terminology changes, and what other changes in the framework. But if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer it. Are there any questions in the chat window?
Yeah, Satya, there are questions. Let me read out so maybe you can answer those. The first one is, what level in the big picture are the changes made in, for example, portfolio? I think you have already answered that. For Vineet, so you understood, Vineet, that it is changes are across, not just at the one layer. Yeah. So Satya, the second question is from Rajeshri. Is value stream always a sequence of steps in a linear fashion? Can't we have a non-linear value stream?
Okay. So most of the time, the value stream is a sequence of steps because the value flows from left to right, concept to cash, idea to market. But however, Scaled Agile has 2 types of value stream. One is operational value stream, another one is development value stream. But it is always, sequence of steps to perform, to convert a hypothesis or an idea into a technology-enabled solution.
Sure. So Rajesh, I hope you got the answer. So the next question, Satya, from Vineet again. How do we identify business opportunities? And I connect this probably with the business agility value stream. I think it is coming from there. The question is from business agility value stream. How do you identify the business opportunities?
Yeah. So this is a very good question. See, if you look at the big picture, we have design thinking, customer centricity and design thinking. Design thinking is the tool what we are using to sense the opportunity. So we have guidance around, how to do market research, how to do user research, especially when we do market research, which defines the product strategy, when we, do user research, which defines the product design. And to do all that, there are plenty of techniques. Design thinking power techniques are available in terms of ethnographies, empathy interviews, surveys, questionnaires, whether you want to do it in a large scale surveys or whether you want to have a target customer, discussion, customer advisory board. There are plenty of techniques which are available. So this is where your solution management and product management has to play a very important role. Continuously understanding the market, sensing the market, the kind of changes, whatever it is taking place in the market, right? In addition to that, they also need to keep an eye on two important aspects in addition to whatever I talked about it. One is market rhythms, right? Every industry has a rhythm. If I ask you, in summer, we are getting into the summer, would you go for, holiday in a beach side or a hill station? Most probably you will say, I want to go for a hill station, not a beach side. It's a rhythm. People in the summer go to hill station, in the winter they go to the beach side. Similarly, even in B2B industry, the areas in which you operate with, there is a rhythm. Your product management need to understand that. Similarly, there are market events, right? What are these market events? For example, your competitor is launching a product on a specific date. There is a regulatory change which is taking place in a particular segment or a geography. Or it could be anything. The event could be like pandemic, or it could be an event like one prestigious conference which take place in some part of the world, which is very, very important, happens only once in a year, where your enterprise want to go and showcase the capabilities or the solution what you have built, right? So it means to say your product management should be continuously sensing the market rhythm, market event, analyzing the competitors, doing market research, doing user research. All of this has to be on a continuous basis. Some of them are a primary research where they're directly involved. Some of them could be a secondary research where they may engage, some third party or a published data or a syndicate data, which is, published, available on the internet. I hope I answered your question.
So knowing Satya and his interest in this topic, he can speak for 4 hours on the design thinking and the customer centricity. I think, I looked at very closely Satya, when I did the work. I think he's specialized in the product management side of it. So I think, you tried to summarize Satya very, very shortly with a lot of difficulty. So we need offline, you can definitely reach out and then Satya can speak for hours on this. Great. Okay, so next question is from somebody, anonymous attendee. I'm planning to take Safe Agile certification. Couple of questions. Number one is, do I need to take Safe certification on Safe 6.0 or still I can do 5.1? So let me answer that. Going forward, we're not going to do any 5.1 certification. Now that 6.0 is available, which is much, much better compared to 5.0 or 5.1. I think it's good to do directly the 6.0. Yeah.
So among the, SAFE has 13 certification programs, 5 programs, implementing SAFE, your, what you call SAFE for teams, lean portfolio management, SAFE Scrum Master, SAFE POPM. The courseware is already available to teach 6.0. Some of the courses like Advanced Scrum Master, RTE, which are expected to, come in April, subsequently in the May. Then, most probably by Q2, most of the coursewares are available for all the certification programs. But the foundational, very important, popular certification programs, we already started teaching 6.0. We did, one round of leading SAFE last weekend. We did one POPM class. Starting today, we are already doing implementing SAFE 6.0. So my preference is go with the latest version. You get to understand the framework, the latest framework, the changes in the framework, and that is also a lot more beneficial. Always, it's good to go with the new product, not a old product.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next question is from Bharat. Thanks for summarizing changes in 6.0. How do I upgrade from 5.1 to 6.0?
Okay, so depending on what kind of certification you have it, for example, if you are an SPC, right now, earlier it was Safe Program Consultant, now it's a Safe Practice Consultant. And if you have a valid certificate, that means your certificate is still valid, then, you would have got, a notification from Scaled Agile where, there are a bunch of videos, probably about 6.5 hours of videos. Typically the changes, what has been made in the framework, you need to go through that. Then in addition to that, you also need to take an exam to upgrade yourself to 6.0. And if you have a valid certificate, all of this are free of cost. There is no additional charges. Just that you need to have a valid license.
Okay, super. Okay, so the next question is from Vijay Dubey. Big picture has incorporated AI. Could you emphasize on adoption of AI steps?
Okay, so here, for AI, there are guidance provided that how an enterprise can leverage AI for their growth, right? So depending on the type of industry or the domain or the kind of solution what you are building in, because each industry is very different, in terms of what they're building, who are their target customers, and what kind of problems they're solving and stuff like that. So typically, depending on the type of industry, how they want to leverage AI will come into picture. But from a framework point of view, it is integral part of the framework. There are guidance around how an enterprise can leverage the AI, technologies for organizational growth.
Okay. Good. So the next one is from Rajshekhar. All safe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions giving value in the same way. But what value? I'm trying to understand the question. I'm just reading the exact question, but what value give in the safe changing name process? How will people adopt it? So I assume that you're asking some name changes happened in the framework, right? What does it mean? What is it? And how do we adopt this? Is that right? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so with that understanding, my answer is this. See, we used to use the phone, 5 years ago, we used to use the phone 10 years ago. Today also we are using. If you look at it, the basic functionality of the phone is to make calls, connect with people, interact with the external world. So right from, Safe 1.0 till the 6.0, the focus is to provide a framework and a guidance to the enterprise for scaled agile transformation and achieving the business agility, right? So this is where the 7 core competencies, all of them will come into picture. But what Scaled Agile is also doing is the framework team and the Scaled Agile stakeholders are continuously interacting with the enterprises who are transforming using Scaled Agile framework. And also they are taking the feedback from the practitioners and continuously evaluating the opportunities, how a framework can be enhanced further in the benefit of the community, in the benefit of the enterprises. So the new changes, what you are looking at in 6.0 is an additional capability, what we brought in the framework. And these capabilities will help the enterprises to achieve business agility, achieve, value flow, enhance the time to market capabilities, and also providing a lot more guidance to the people who are playing the role across the enterprises to perform their role more effectively. Hence, what I would say is more additional features, more additional capabilities to achieve business agility and producing business outcomes. That's how I will look at it. And some of the terminology changes, what you have seen in a part of the last 1 hour discussion, is basically to reduce the confusion in the industry, because each one of them in the industry may start interpreting very differently. The moment we talk about a program, somebody who is a practitioner of program or project management in the last 15 years, the way that they will interpret the word program is very different. So we don't want wrong interpretation of those. Hence, some of these terminologies are replaced to minimize the confusion, reduce the confusion, so that a lot more common understanding exists in the enterprise, which will eventually help, in terms of execution of the work and producing the business outcome.
Okay, good. Thanks, Satya. So, okay, next question. Okay, how well does this concept work in a B2B, which is, say, an airline accounting software, right? Where end customer is the finance team of an airline and they're not just interested in taking continuous delivery. Rather, they don't want continuous delivery. How do you implement?
Okay, so there are two part of the answer to this. Number one, they don't want continuous delivery is a myth, right? Most of the time they, the solution builders, they think that our customer don't want continuous delivery, but when you actually go and ask them, they want continuous delivery. But why they say I don't want continuous delivery? Because when we want to really deploy new versions, we are asking some downtime. Give me 8 hours downtime, give me 2 days downtime, give me 3 days downtime. Because of that inconvenience, they say, boss, don't give me, because it's disturbing my business. Give me maybe once in 3 months, once in 6 months. But every customer would love to have it. For example, if you are giving, app is updated, let's say you're using WhatsApp. WhatsApp pushes some, features or capabilities, new capabilities. As an end user, did I really, get impacted out of it? I don't. And whenever I, prefer, I will upgrade it, right? So the similar kind of capability, what we need to bring into the users, that is number one. Number two is, if you look at the SAFe principle, it is continuous in, exploration, explore the customer needs and expectation continuously, continuous integration, integrate the work continuously, continuous deployment, deploy the work continuously to the production environment. And the last one is release on demand. What does it mean, release on demand? Release on demand is whatever the business need is, whatever the business demand is. If the business demand is daily, we should have the capability to deploy daily. If the business need is once in 2 weeks, we should do once in 2 weeks. If the business need is once in a quarter, we should do once in a quarter. This purely depending on the context and the kind of solution what you're building. Release on demand. It means we are decoupling the deploying to the production environment, and releasing, we are decoupling. Release on demand. When the customer wants, when the business decides, we are going to release it, right? But at least with 1.5 decades of my agile transformation experience, I never encountered any customer talking about I don't want more features. They always say I want more, but don't disturb my business. Because if you ask me, give me downtime, I'm helpless. I can't give you because it's disturbing my business. Without my knowledge, if you want to give more capability, which customers say no to it, right?
Okay, sure. Okay, so the next question is from Pavitra Ravishankar. Are there any alternate growth measurement techniques, integrated with SAFe 6.2 apart from OKRs? Okay, as I talked about it, predominantly in the value stream perspective, we look at three. One is competency. That means we are measuring the progress towards the business realities, the 7 core competencies. Number 2, we are going to measure the flow, how good the flow is right from idea to market, or sensing an opportunity to leveraging the value. There are 6 flow metrics, right? So that's a very good indicator. In addition to that, we are going to look at the outcome, what a value stream is producing an outcome. This is more in terms of business outcomes, and what to be measured depending on the kind of value stream, whether you are a software independent value stream, or whether you're building a cyber physical system or something else. The outcome measurement may vary from one to another, right? So in addition to that, you may have typically a well-balanced metrics, which typically at the team and train level, focusing on agility, focusing on speed, which is time to market, focusing on people aspect, focusing on innovation, and most importantly, quality. When I say quality, both code quality and product quality. But to drive certain things from the portfolio management, because the portfolio management has an objective which they need to accomplish it, and this objective in place, whether you want to call it as a strategic theme, that is coming into picture from an enterprise. And in order to achieve this strategic themes, I'm continuously building my portfolio backlog in the form of epic. And to define this epic, one is my strategy, which is playing a role to move from my current state to the intended state. Similarly, I'm sensing the market continuously, trying to understand the market, and based on that, I'm defining the epic. So for that, we can integrate the OKR now. And also we can bring in the OKR for the transformation related as well, as I talked about it.
but you can have the measurement all across depending on the need and context.
Cool. Okay, so next question is, okay, so Pavitra, I think you got the answer. Next, let me go to the next question. Rajeshri Arjun. How has been the experience to facilitate the Leading Safe 6.0 class? Did you encounter any issues with the time? I see a lot of exercise in the second chapter. Okay, let me answer that. We did this weekend, like this last Saturday and Sunday, we did 2 workshops conducted from LeanWisdom. One is Leading Safe and second is POPM. Both went really well. And right now, Satya and I are doing a workshop, a SPC workshop. We just finished day 1 and we don't see any challenge. It's pretty much on time. Some topics are added, some topics are removed. So that way I see that it's pretty good to see that Safe is also balancing the overall activities, right? So I think till now, no, we have not faced anything. That's good. Okay.
In the Leading Safe, if you look at it, the first 2 days, the first lesson, Thriving in the Digital Age, there are quite a few content which is removed, right? Number 1. Number 2, if you look at it, lesson 2, which is Lean Agile, mindset, where especially for the first 5 or 6 activities, 6 principles, for each of that, there is an activity associated. But if you go back and look at the trainer guidance, the time is also specified how much time for each lesson we need to spend. Broadly, it is not very different compared to what it was in 5.1. So, they did a very scientific approach in terms of how much time has to be allocated for each of these lessons. And they factored, how much time has to be spent on the activities, how much time has to be spent on teaching, how much time is required to complete a lesson. They looked at all that factors and they identified the time for each of the lesson. And I would say it is not very different from 5.1. More or less, it remains same.
Absolutely. Okay, so next question is from Nishant. I have Safe 5.0 certification, but it is already expired. Do I need to renew 5.1 and then upgrade to 6.0, or can I directly upgrade 6.0, right? To 6.0. How do I proceed?
First, you need to renew your 5.1. Then only you need to upgrade it. Directly, you can't upgrade to or renew to 6.0 because it's a process. First, you need to renew your existing certification. Then understanding what is the delta between 5.1 to 6, then you need to upgrade yourself.
Absolutely. Okay, so next question is from Shrikant. What is a certification upgrade recommended for Safe Agilist 5? So Shrikant, I'm trying to understand this question. I assume that you want to learn more beyond Leading Safe. You have done Leading Safe with the Safe Agilist, and you want to upgrade your knowledge. The recommended one next after Leading Safe is SPC. SPC is a very deep dive 4 days of workshop, which will enable you to implement Safe. Yeah. So if you want any further information about that, you can reach out to us maybe offline. Okay, good. So the next one is from Akhil. How Safe is applicable or advantageous to consumer goods industry?
Okay. See, the framework and the principles, what is there in the, the principles, the mindset and the configuration, what is in the Safe, it can be applied, more or less all the disciplines, all the domains. That's my experience. More than what I say, I suggest you go to the, scaledagileFramework.com. There is a section called customer stories. Click on the customer stories section and you're going to, you will have access to plenty of case studies. And these case studies are from different domains. There are case studies from aeronautical. There are, case studies from science and research. There are case studies from automotive. There are case studies from healthcare. There are case studies from banking. There are case studies from logistics. There are case studies from transport. There are case studies from ERP, CRM, SCM. You name the domain, you have the case studies, right? Somebody earlier was talking about how it is suitable for finance related or aeronautical related. So KLM is implemented Safe. If you go to Amadeus, They supply the travel related to the airline industry. They implemented it. If you go to airline related, you have Boeing, you have Airbus adopting. If you talk about automotive, you have Volvo using SAFe, you have Mercedes Benz using. If you talk about healthcare, Philips is using, GE Healthcare is using, Siemens Healthcare is using. Industrial automation, ABB is using, Siemens Industrial Automation is using, Schneider Electric is using, right? Irrespective of the domain, I'm talking about these are pretty large enterprises. And NASA is using, and they build real complex solutions, right? They are using it. In addition to that, there are a lot of government bodies who are using. And if you go to US, there are plenty of case studies where government bodies are adopted. And typically compared to corporate, government bodies are little complex, irrespective of the country they belongs to, right? So there are success stories even in the government. But what I would say is, see, this is not a silver bullet, right? It's a body of knowledge. There are real case studies, the success case studies, how the SAFe has implemented, how an enterprise has benefited. But on top of that, what is also more important, that who is implementing it? Do they really have a knowledge of implementation? Managing the big real-time changes. Do they really have a good experience of transforming enterprises? They do really understand the SAFe very well. But only the consultant like you and me cannot go to an enterprise and transform. What is the commitment of the leadership? Whether the leadership is bought into the philosophy of transforming into SAFe. What is their commitment? What is their engagement? It is not just that sponsor it and live it. No, they need to be part of the transformation journey. They need to drive, they need to own. It's all about the implementation. Personally, I love this framework for the fact that it provides all the required tools, techniques, methods, and approaches for an enterprise to transform, whether it is a small enterprise, medium size, or a large enterprise. This is a beautiful framework. But framework alone will not help, right? How we are going to apply that in the real time, how we are going to identify the systemic issues, how do we deal with it, how do we solve those systemic issues, all of them plays a very, very important role, right? That way, my request, go and take a look on the customer story section in the Scaled Agile framework. You can see plenty of case studies.
Okay, sure. Okay, but looking at the time, just quickly ask one or two questions, Satya. There's a question from Ramesh Bivo in the 8 flow accelerator. Could you help me understand optimize time in the zone more detailed? Maybe you can have a very short answer, Satya. We have a bunch of questions.
So the flow is a kind of state of mind where a person is going to be very, very creative and lot more productive, right? If this is question from Ramesh Bivo, if you remember, in one of my workshop, I did actually talking about like half an hour or 1 hour, that how a flow has to be managed. If you draw a triangle, the flow is the most optimum work. It is not boredom work, it is not boring work, or it is not too complex. If it is too complex, what happens? It is more like putting them into a situation of uncomfortness or fear. If it is something very, very repetitive work, it is boredom. People don't enjoy it. So you need to identify that state of flow in the mind. The state of flow is more like, very peaceful, very comfortable, where in that state, people are a lot more productive, a lot more creative, a lot more efficient. So typically what we say, if we look at it in a day, everybody will have that, some time in that state. What we are trying to see is, how do we optimize that time zone, which will help the agile teams individually, team and the train to produce a lot more efficient and effective outcome.
Super.
But I'm more than happy to talk this offline. There is a Russian scientist who has done, his name is Samchowsky. It's very difficult to pronounce his name. He has done research on, the flow in the mind. What kind of work will keep exciting the people and stuff like that. I'm more than happy to connect and talk offline.
Super. Okay. So question from CK Baliga. While SAFe is evolving, the framework itself seems to have become complex. Now, question number one is that intentional? Number two, will that not discourage new practitioners?
Okay. It is not complex. The whole idea is to bring in more simplification. If you look at 5.1 and 6.0, in terms of the readability, it is lot more simple, and we also need to appreciate the innovation creativity of SAFe. In one slider, one framework, they are providing a guidance or a framework how an enterprise has to transform. It is not about a small 10 people transformation. Here we are talking about enterprise-wide transformation. And to provide a guidance in one slide or a one framework that how an enterprise has to transform all the way from enterprise portfolio to the team level, it's not easy. But first time when you look at it, it may appear to be a little more complex. But my suggestion is when you start navigating through the framework, all the configuration, go configuration by configuration. Go and click on, essential SAFe configuration, which is only half of the framework, only the bottommost portion of the framework. Try to navigate, try to understand what is, essential SAFe configuration, where you see teams, team of teams, and the roles associated, built-in quality practices, and so on. Once you get familiar with the essential SAFe, then go to the next level, which is large solution. Try to navigate, try to understand, then go to the portfolio level. It's a matter of understanding how to navigate through the framework. But otherwise, personally, I won't see this complex, but somebody who's looking at first time, because of too much of information, it may appear to be complex, but once they understand, it is easy.
Absolutely. Okay, super. So the next one is, okay, it's about again the same CK Baliga's question. At the rate at which new versions are being released, right? What kind of impression is it to expect to create among those who are having completed 4.5, 5, and 5.1 certifications? In the bracket, there is also a commercial angle too. And implementing the same in their projects and in the midway in their implementation journey. So basically, the question is, one is, right, I'm done with the 5.1 certification. Now you are expecting me to upgrade from the commercial point of view. Number two, we are implementing in the middle, right? 5.1 and now 6.0 is released. How do we take it forward?
See, the foundational element remains same. The 7 core competencies remain same. Your foundation element remains same. Your 10 principles remain same. Of course, the 6 principles is redefined. Your core values remain same, right? So foundation element remains same. So what you are receiving is an additional capability. Like you already have, toolkit. The toolkit you are using to, transform your enterprise. Now in this toolkit, you have additional weapons, additional techniques, which you can leverage to transform. It means you are giving, the Scaled Agile is giving a lot more capability, in the form of tools and techniques. I would say, which should be welcomed, which is beneficial to the enterprise and practitioners, number one. Number two, as an individual practitioner, we also need to believe that we are all, knowledge workers. And the only way the knowledge workers can survive for a longer time is lifelong learning. We need to continuously keep on learning. I can't say that I learned 4.5 and after that, I know SAFe, I don't want to learn anything more. It is very, very important that, new things are coming in. We need to start, learning new techniques, new things. Similarly, SAFe is coming with, a lot more, capabilities, a lot more guidance. It's always good to, learn and upgrade ourselves, which will help us to be a better, knowledge workers, which will help you to become a better, agile practitioner. And that also helps you, helps the enterprises to produce a better outcome. Focus on lifelong learning. I'm not just talking from a SAFe point of view, but as an individual, I always focus on learning something new, right? Even though I'm an SPCT, but I still, continue to learn a lot of things. Even for 6.0, keep on, looking at what is coming in, talking to the people, bouncing the ideas, looking at the trainer guidance, looking at the articles, all that I'm doing. Right? Because that is giving me a lot more information and knowledge, which is going to be handy for, part of my transformation work wherever I'm associated. Focus on learning.
Okay, good.
So just a time check, JP, we have 3 minutes.
3 more minutes. Yeah, I think there are a bunch of questions. I'll pull one or two, and then we'll close it. And the next question is, how do they upgrade from 6.2, right? For 6.2 upgrade exam, how many attempts do we get?
You want to answer it, JP?
No, there is no. So if you're a leading SAFe, so there is no actual exam. You may have to probably take a quiz and then clear it. And then it's more learning than, getting scared of the exam, right? Satya and I had to take the exam and then we took it and we cleared. But for others, we don't see that you will have to take the exam. You'll have to probably go through the quiz and then go through the learning, right? Watch the videos and see the gap. See what is it new that is coming.
See, they created something called Safe Studio now. The community portal, whatever you had access to or you have experienced to, now they built it more like a Safe Studio. It's a single platform where, you will have access to toolkits, you will have access to e-learning modules, access to videos. This is the where, you can, upgrade yourself. This is the where, the practice exams, the final exams can be taken. This is where you will have link to framework. It is one-stop, solution, more like one platform, which will provide all the required information about the SAFE. So hence what I would say is any two-day certification, upgradation, look at more like a learning. Go through those videos, go through the instruction and take a couple of quizzes and upgrade yourself. Always having a latest version of the framework is good for you as an individual. And second thing is, part of this process you also learn, understand what is the delta between 5.1 to 6.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to maybe pick one or two more. Okay, so I have done Leading Safe 5.1 from LeanWisdom and cleared the certification. Can I do the 2-day class again for Leading Safe 6.2? Okay, so and the name is anonymous. We don't know who are you. So if you have done a Leading Safe long back, right? And if you're if it's very recent, and then do you want to go back again, attend one more 2 days class of 6.0? Not required. Yeah, but if you have done like a couple of years back, I have personally trained a lot of people in the past, and then if you see that you have done like long back, it's 2-3 years, you've forgotten the concepts, and then it is going to help you in attending the class. I think you're welcome to attend maybe the Leading Safe workshop, maybe in the next available slot. Okay, so are there any benefits listed by Neha? Are there any benefits listed that we get when we upgrade from 5.0 to 6.0? The biggest benefit is knowledge. Yeah, you're going to get more knowledge. You're going to be more powerful.
You'll have a latest certification in your kitty, and nothing can compensate knowledge, guys. The only way to survive and succeed as a knowledge workers is to keep learning, keep enhancing the knowledge. And this is an opportunity for you to learn new concepts, learn, what is new in the framework. Please do that. That's my sincere request, because you're not going to lose anything. What you're going to gain is only knowledge.
Absolutely. Okay, so I see a couple of messages from Ashish Ora that he was asking about the continuous delivery pipeline, right? So Ashish, I think we see that you're very serious about it. You want to really learn. You want to understand. Since the time doesn't permit now, I think definitely we can connect offline. Please feel free to reach out to one of us, either Satya or I. We can actually connect to you and then probably help you in your in your continuous delivery pipeline implementation when there is a challenge for you. Yeah, sorry, we had to stop just because it's 7:30 now.
Yeah, we spent almost like more than half an hour on the questions. I really enjoyed answering to the questions, and due to the time constraints, some questions probably we may not be addressing, and more than happy to answer those. Connect offline to JP or any of the LeanWisdom members to me, and we are more than happy to answer your questions. It is not just that we want to do webinar and done with it. It's not that. We want to have the relationship. You have any questions, difficulties, drop an email or call us, and we are more than happy to assist that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Satya. I think I know you have been teaching from morning, and the energy is exactly the same. I don't see any change when I saw you at 9 a.m. and you are exactly the same. Thank you so much for your this session. And so team, I think thanks for attending, and if you have any questions, please reach out to us, reach out to me, Satya, or my team, and we'll definitely help you to for further implementation of SAFE. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Truly appreciated your time and participation.